Today I'll talk about how I hired a lawyer to handle a real estate transaction in Montenegro. I think this example will be useful for understanding in what situations you might need a lawyer in Montenegro and what their role actually is. Of course, this wasn't the first, nor the only time we turned to a lawyer for help. But I want to talk specifically about this case. Here's the background. Sometime at the beginning of the pandemic, I don't remember exactly when, maybe March or April, a Russian family contacted me. They wanted to buy an apartment in Montenegro, and they had already chosen an apartment from my website. And since entry into Montenegro was impossible at that time because all of Europe, including Montenegro, was under Quarantenegro, decided to buy the property remotely. It should be noted that there are no difficulties with buying property remotely in Montenegro. You just need to send a power of attorney in my name. I will then purchase it for you on your behalf. The apartment they chose was almost perfect. It has an area of 57 square meters and costs 90,000 euros, which comes out to about 1,600 euros per square meter, but you can take a calculator and work it out exactly. By local standards, that's actually quite a reasonable price. The apartment has 2 bathrooms, a terrace, and offers a nice view of the bay. If I remember correctly, it has 2 rooms. The apartment is in an excellent location, with everything you need for daily life nearby, and it's about 400 meters from the sea. The only downside is that there's no parking. There wasn't any parking. But apparently, the people weren't planning to buy a car anyway. So for them, that's basically not an issue. So we settled on an apartment. I meet with the seller. I asked to see the documents, and I noticed that in the certificate of ownership, under the restrictions section, it states that this apartment does not have a use permit. This is the final document that the developer receives after the building's construction is completed. Its absence can be due to various reasons, ranging from something trivial like, basically, it's nothing, don't worry about it, just go ahead and buy, to something much more serious, like there's a real problem and they simply didn't issue this document, so in that case, it's better not to buy. So the reasons can be different. Naturally, I honestly told the clients that there was this issue. The apartment is wonderful, you made a very good choice, but it doesn't have this document. Why is it missing? I can't say. You need to dig deeper. No matter what realtors promise you, in the vast majority of cases, they don't know how to dig deep and do a thorough investigation. That is, some realtors do beat their chest and say, nothing can stop us. We'll check everything just as well as a lawyer in no time at all and close the deal. You'll be a happy apartment owner. I don't engage in such cheap tricks, and in this kind of situation, I honestly say that for me personally, the situation is ambiguous, and guys, it's better to involve a lawyer to handle the transaction. Yes, a lawyer does charge a fee for their services, usually around 1,000 euros, but in return you avoid problems in the future. You'll know exactly what you're buying. The clients turned out to be reasonable. They agreed with my reasoning, and we came to an agreement. We agreed that the next day I would go and talk to a lawyer I know, someone I've already worked with before. So I went to see Boris, and we agreed on the following. First, he would check why this particular apartment doesn't have a usage permit and give an opinion on whether it's safe to buy this apartment. Third, he would fully oversee the entire purchase transaction. And fourth, regarding the fourth point, he didn't give me any guarantees, but said that if he manages, he'll remove this restriction from the apartment. He asked for 700 euros for his services. I have to say, that's quite reasonable. Usually, lawyers in Montenegro often charge more. 700 euros is a perfectly normal price for lawyers. Then he checked everything and concluded that the apartment could be purchased. I won't go into detail now about how the whole purchase process went because, to be honest, there's really nothing much to tell. The main thing is that Boris checked everything, and both my client and I felt confident that it was safe to buy this particular property. And here's a small but pleasant bonus. The lawyer actually managed to remove that restriction from the apartment. He arranged for a usage permit not just for the apartment but for the entire building. So my client ended up not only with a good apartment, but with a good apartment where all the paperwork was completely in order. So friends, this small example shows in what situations you might need a lawyer in Montenegro. If something is unclear to you during the transaction, if you have any doubts, don't try to save money. Remember, a penny pincher pays twice. Hire a lawyer. If you're making a deal with our help, I can always recommend a lawyer with a good reputation. This doesn't mean you need to hire a lawyer in every case and for every little thing. But there are situations when having one really doesn't hurt. I just gave a specific example where I believe the lawyer was necessary. And I still think we did the right thing by advising the client to hire that lawyer. That's basically it. Thank you all for your attention and goodbye.